Welcome to this session where we're going to talk about how to manifest anything you want. Now, that title is obviously quite broad. What I'm going to do is talk into some complexities and some nuances when it comes to how to manifest anything you want and how manifestation works, right? Because when it comes to manifesting anything that you want, there's a key part of this phrase, which is you have to want it. So when it comes to using your mind to create your reality, I really believe that you can create anything that you think of and anything that you can imagine, you can create. The only limitation is your imagination, is what you can imagine for yourself. But here's the caveat, you have to want it, right? So let me give you an example. A lot of people think about manifestation and they think about, oh, well, it means Ferraris and money and all these kinds of big, flamboyant, extravagant things. But that's not necessarily what it needs to be for you. You have to want to manifest the things that you are calling into your life. If you're trying to manifest things that you don't want, it's going to be very hard. So the first part of manifestation is really just having the self-awareness to know what you actually want. And so that's what we're going to talk about to start this. And it's often overlooked. I feel like when it comes to manifestation, people don't talk about this, right? They just talk about, okay, well, how do we create whatever we want? Without talking first about how do we get clear on what it is that we even want. Because we live in a world which is just, over flooded with information, right? There's too much information, there's social media, there is just these constant kind of bombardments of information. And usually we get caught up or distracted in what other people want or what we think that we should want because other people want that thing. So, for example, you might start on your self-development journey or your manifestation journey, and you'll start thinking, well, I want the big house and the cars and the money and all of this stuff. But if you don't actually really want that stuff, then it's going to be like a really meaningless journey to get there because it's not even something that you actually want for yourself, right? So the first part of manifestation and how to manifest anything you want is firstly just getting clear on what you actually want, because I can guarantee you every single person who's watching this has different desires and has different wants, right? Like when you close your eyes and you think about your future, every single person watching this has a different idea of what their future looks like. So that fact in and of itself is proof that we all have a different path. And we're not all supposed to just try to manifest, Ferraris and Lamborghinis and big houses and lots of money. If you want that, sure, you can get that. But for most of you, and for the people who I really love talking to, we have got a certain set of values. So maybe you've got family values. Maybe you've got relationship values, right? Maybe you do have professional career work values as well, but it's not the only thing, right? You've probably also got values in your health. So this is why it's important to have the self-awareness to actually understand what you want, what your values are. So when it comes to manifestation, you know exactly what it is that you actually want. And this is the first part that most people get wrong. It's that they just start trying to manifest all of this shit that they don't actually want, but they just think that they should want because society or parents or someone has told you that that's what you should work towards. And so you just haven't developed the self-awareness to take a second to go, do I actually want this thing for myself? Right. And I'm telling you right now, you can waste a lot of time and a lot of years trying to achieve things that you don't even really care about if you're acting from an unconscious place. So you're just doing what you think that you should do because that's what everyone else is doing, right? So just drop it in the chat box or in the comments below, like 111, if this resonates with you, where you feel like you have maybe in the past tried to do things because that's what you thought that you should do, even though you didn't really want to do that. Just let me know if you've been caught up in that trap before. Yeah, a few people. And it's common. It's very common. It's more common than you would think. People easily get distracted and trapped in ideas of what they think that they should be doing, right? Instead of what they actually want to do. And the problem here is a lack of self-awareness. People haven't spent the time in self-reflection, or they haven't spent the time discovering themselves so that they know clearly what they actually want. So you look into your future and you think, well, I don't even really know what I want. I don't really have direction. I don't really have purpose. I don't really even know what I want, right? I believe that you can manifest anything you want. The caveat being you have to want it. Like you have to actually want the thing that you are trying to create in your life. So that's what I wanted to start this session with, right? We're going to talk about how do you manifest anything you want, but the caveat and the nuance is you have to want the thing that you're manifesting, right? And to be honest, you don't actually have to want it, but I'm telling you, if you try to manifest something and you get it, but you realize at the end you didn't even really want that thing, you're going to be left feeling depleted, unfulfilled, lacking purpose, lacking any meaning, right? You've probably heard stories about, really rich people who, they go and they create all of this wealth and they create all of this stuff and they got lots and lots of money and the houses and the cars. And then they have like a crisis where they realize, what am I even doing with my life? Like, drop a 222 in the chat box if you've ever heard a story like that. I've heard lots of stories like that because I'm interested in successful people, right? And I'm interested in like what makes them tick, what makes them different. And you'd be amazed how many people I have talked to as well personally. I've actually coached people who have earned a lot of money and who have a lot of material wealth and possession, and they just lack purpose or direction or meaning. So I want to really save you guys a lot of wasted time, right? And help you firstly get clear on who you are and what you want. Because then you can go on your journey of manifesting whatever it is that you want, and it's going to be like a joyful, fulfilling experience. It'll be purposeful, it will have meaning because it has meaning to you and your specific set of values, right? So this is super important. So the first thing that we can do, right, is actually just ask ourselves this simple question. When I look into my future, what do I want? What is my vision? What is my vision for my future? And this is a very simple thing to do. However, it just takes a little bit of time to actually, reflect. So you can write in your journal right now, what's in my vision for my future, right? And then try not to overthink it, right? You can close your eyes. Don't think about, oh, I need to create this massive vision for my future and it needs to be so extravagant. It needs to have all of these things in it. Don't try to overthink it. What I would actually recommend that you do is take a few deep breaths, connect to your heart space, and just start to pay attention to the visions or the images that come into your mind when you ask yourself about what it is that you want in your future. And I can guarantee you, everyone watching this is going to have a different set of images coming into their mind. Some of you might want, happy family, a healthy marriage, kids. Some of you might want a big house in some specific location. Some of you might have your dream cars that you want, right? Some of you might just want to be healthy in the mind and healthy in the body, right? You might have a dream body that you want, right? You might have a state of mind that you are wanting to occupy, right? Maybe you want more confidence or you want more peace in your life, right? My question to you is, what is in your vision? And don't overthink it. Like, don't try not to just come from the mind, because sometimes the mind is confused because it's got too much information coming in from social media, from society, and all of that. So sometimes your brain can be a bit messy, right? So what I'm encouraging you to do is take a deep breath and connect to your heart and ask your intuition, what's actually my vision? And just pay attention to what starts to come into your head and then write that down. So that's the beginning, right? We're just kind of tuning into ourselves. and we're getting clarity on what we actually want and who we actually are, what our values are, and what our vision is. From this place, I can really believe that you can manifest anything that it is you want. Whatever is in your vision, you can manifest that. Right? It's going to be harder for you to manifest things that you don't really actually want, but you just think that you should want because that's what you got told. So you can manifest anything you want, but you have to want it, and it has to be coming from your unique vision and your unique values. That's the very first fundamental thing you need to understand. Self-awareness is key, right? This is a lot of the work that I do with my clients. It's just this first level of like developing a higher level of self-awareness, right? And when you can have a higher level of self-awareness, it becomes easier to like know yourself and to know your path. Now I'm going to go into some deeper stuff around manifestation now, right? But I just wanted to reiterate one more time. The most important thing is self-discovery, self-awareness, knowing who you are, knowing what you want, knowing what your values are, and then sticking to that. You don't need to listen to anyone else, right? You don't need to listen to what you think that you should do because society told you so, because your parents told you so, because social media told you so, because the government told you so, right? You don't need to listen to any of them. Once you know who you are and what you want, you can just stay solid in that, and you can stay grounded in that, and you can stay connected to that. And that's going to be where you develop this unfuckwithable energy because you are just solid in yourself, right? You don't need anything from anyone else. You just know this is what I want. This is what I'm going for. That's the most important part. If I can just get that message across, I'll be happy. But then you probably want to know a little bit more about the workings of manifestation in the mind and stuff like that. So I'm going to talk about how it actually works, right? Because we operate on different dimensions, right? The human experience has different dimensions to it, right? Let me give you an example. The first dimension, it's not actually the first dimension, the third dimension is the physical dimension, right? We live in a 3D world. We live in the third dimension, right? So this is the physical body, right? And it's your environment, and it's the, the stuff that you can touch and feel. And, when your manifestations come into reality, they're coming into the 3D world, right? They're coming into the physical, right? But they don't start at the physical, right? Your manifestations start at a higher level, at a higher dimension. So we can call it the fourth dimension, right? The fourth dimension is the level of your mind. So it's non-physical, or it's less physical, right? 3D is physical, right? Everything you can see and touch, my laptop, the coffee I'm drinking, right? The microphone, the books behind me, it's all 3D, right? It's all physical. I can touch it, I can hold it. However, it started as an idea in someone's mind. So the microphone was created because someone imagined it first. This coffee cup was created because someone had the idea to create this coffee cup with this weird pattern on it and this shape and size. The books behind me, they started as ideas in people's heads. So the fourth dimension is the level of thought and ideas and imagination. And everything that's created in the physical world starts at the level of our thoughts. Literally everything man-made, everything that you could ever want to make in your life or create in your life will start firstly as an idea in your head. Try to disprove that. You can't. Everything is an idea first, and then it's a creation. Even me making my breakfast, which I'm going to make after this call, right? I'm going to make eggs on toast. Now, I don't have eggs on toast right now, but I know in my fridge, I've got some eggs that I need to crack. I've got some bread that I need to toast. I've got some butter that I need to cut up. It's all an idea in my head. It's not in my physical reality right now. It's downstairs, right? So I got to think of this idea. I'm going to make this sourdough, toast and eggs. And then, I go downstairs after this and I make it and then I eat it, right? So making a sandwich, making your lunch, that's a manifestation, right? Whatever work that you have to do today, maybe you've thought about, okay, I've got to do these things today, but it's not happened yet. Right now in the present moment, whatever work you have to do today hasn't happened yet, right? Before I started recording this video here that I'm making, I was thinking about what I was going to talk about. And now here we are talking about it, right? Everything that you do is first an idea in your mind, and then it becomes a physical reality. It starts at the fourth dimension of the mind, the ideas, the imagination, and then it comes into the 3D, right? Into the physical. So once you know what it is that you want from your life, or you've created the ideas and the visions and you've imagined a future for yourself that is in alignment with your values and what you want, once you've created a very clear mental picture of what that is, it's just a matter of time before it comes into reality, right? It's just a matter of time and also taking the right actions, right? Like taking action that is in alignment with the life that you say that you want to create. That's really it, right? That's essentially manifestation in a nutshell. You have an idea about what you want, and you get a clear vision of what you want to create in your life. And it's an idea in your mind first. And then over a period of time, you keep taking the actions that are necessary to get you to that end result. And so the 3D world, here's what you have to understand about manifestation, which is a common mistake people make. People think, oh, manifestation should just happen like instantly. It doesn't work like that, right? The 4D world, the fourth dimension and the third dimension operate at different levels of speed, right? The third dimension is slow, right? We're in a human body. We have like, let's just say an 80-year lifespan, right? Give or take. And so we have 80 years of like growing through this development as a human, right? And growing up, right? And maturing and getting old and all that. But if you close your eyes and you imagine your birth, you can imagine your birth right now. And if you go and you fast forward and you imagine you're on your deathbed, you could also imagine that right now. And then you open your eyes and you realize you just imagined your whole lifespan within about 5 seconds. So you've got to understand the fourth dimension operates faster than the third dimension. In the fourth dimension, you can imagine anything you want right now. You could imagine that you've got the house that you want. You could imagine that you've got the car that you want. You can imagine that you've got the relationship that you want. You can imagine you've got the business you want, the body you want, the mind you want. Like, let's just say you only want a peaceful mind. Imagine yourself with a peaceful mind. Imagine yourself being calm, walking through life effortlessly. Everything is easy, right? You feel peaceful. You can imagine it right now, but then you open your eyes and you go through life and maybe you're not feeling that. Maybe you're feeling a bit anxious, a bit frustrated, right? Because things happen in the fourth dimension quickly, but there needs to be there's a timeline between when that thought comes into reality. So for example, the timeline for me making my toast is going to be about 20 minutes, right? and everything that you want to create from your mind, it has a timeline. And you can also think about this as almost like a pregnancy, right? When a baby is born, it takes 9 months from conception till the baby is born, right? There's a timeline between, okay, we've made a baby and now the baby's coming to reality. Everything that you create has its own timeline or has its own pregnancy or has its own gestational period. So you can imagine that when you're starting to use your mind to create ideas about what you want in your future, it's like you're planting a seed, right? Once you plant that seed, if you continue to nurture it, so you create an idea in your mind, you plant the seed in your mind, right? And then you continue to nurture it every day consistently until it comes into reality. It's just a matter of time. Now, the thing that people struggle with here is they get attached to how quickly they want it to happen. Oh, it hasn't happened yet. Why hasn't it happened yet? I've been waiting for, 3 months and it hasn't happened, right? Or I've been waiting for a year and it hasn't happened, right? You've got to learn how to become unattached to the outcome. So for example, I have got some visions for my life, and I've got some things that I'm working towards and some manifestations that I'm bringing into existence. I don't care when they happen, but I know that they will happen as long as I keep nurturing, right? Nurturing the seed, nurturing the idea, nurturing the plan and the vision, right? And I do have like a rough timeline, but I'm also just not attached to the timeline, right? because when you get attached to the timeline, this is when you get set up for disappointment and stuff like that, right? It's not about being outcome focused. It's about being process focused. So don't worry about the outcome. Stay committed to the process. Right? When you stay committed to the process and you understand that everything that's created in reality is created in the mind first, and then it takes a certain amount of time, a pregnancy or a gestational period before it is born into the physical world, then it's just about nurturing that idea. And Bob Proctor says, anything that you can hold in your head, you can hold in your hands. So whatever it is that you want to manifest, once you get clear on that, it's just about holding it in your head and nurturing that idea and taking the aligned action every day until it becomes a reality, until it's born, until you start to experience it in the third dimension, in your physical reality. And that is essentially how you manifest anything that you want in a nutshell. And that's it for today's session. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to open it up for a bit of Q&A. But before I do that, this is a live recording. I'm going to stop recording in a second. For anyone who's watching this replay, if you want help with this stuff, with manifestation, with learning how to control your thoughts, learning how to create a vision for the future, learning how to get clarity on what you actually want to discover who you actually are, then send me a message on Instagram, send me the word details, and I will send you over the details for our coaching program, right? If you don't have me on Instagram, I will put the details just below this video in the description. I'll put the details for the Instagram. I'll put the details for the website. You can just get in touch with me and I can help you with this stuff. So that's it. Thanks for being on the call with me today, and I will see you next week.